Hey guys, a lot of people talk about how anime taught us amazing values such as never giving up, working hard, and following your ambitions. We often hear people talk about how despite anime can seem childish at times, there are still a lot of things to talk about that are positive. This is normal since anime is ostracized by society in the past, and since nowadays we grew older and we think how anime shaped us. We realize the great values that anime taught us, so we tend to want to spread this positive energy and to let everyone know that anime isn't a waste of time. After all, we all want to hear positive feedback from things we enjoy. This is especially true for anime that marked our childhood, such as Naruto, Dragon Ball, and One Piece. On the other hand, we like to meme the more questionable part of this medium. You know what I'm talking about. The perverted side of anime, waifus, and harems. But there's a negative side that no one talks about. And the reason? Well, that's simply because it looks too innocent on the surface. Not only does no one talk about the negative impact on mental health from this kind of anime, it can even be said that it's one of the current most popular genre, and this famous type of anime that you probably overlook the consequence on yourself is the Isekai genre. Now, before we talk about the reasons that I think that the Isekai genre is bad for you, or anyone in that matter, let's talk about the general knowledge of this topic first. For the people that have been watching quite a bit of anime these last years, might have seen a common trend. There are more and more of Isekai coming out every year. For those that don't know what an Isekai is, then you're in quite a lucky position. But don't stop watching the video though, because you don't want to be the next one falling for the Isekai addiction trap. Basically, an Isekai tells the story of a person transporting into another world. This can be done in a various numbers of ways, such as accidental death, overworking, or simply getting randomly transported. Whatever happens next is at the discretion of the author, but the essence of changing worlds is the main appeal for most people. Usually, there are two types of Isekai, the good ones and the bad ones, and maybe a few random exceptions. The main difference of the good and bad ones are the quality of how the story is written. The quality of the story can be used as an indicator for the level of negative psychological influence it can have on its viewers. It's not a coincidence that the poorly written ones are also the ones that are the more harmful. This is not to say that the good Isekai aren't bad, but there's a big degree of difference in the negative effects compared to the bad ones. Therefore, in this video, I will mainly focus on the bad ones, and you will naturally come to an understanding of this distinction. But before being able to understand why the Isekai genre isn't ideal for your mental health, there are 4 things that must be taken into account. The first thing that needs to be understood is the type of people that watches this kind of anime. The people that watches Isekai are usually depressed people that aren't satisfied with their lives, and they are watching it to cope with their hollowness. Not all of them are suffering from extreme depression, but in most cases, they have some kind of symptoms of it. Their coping mechanism is known as escapism. The second thing to know is that the mind is always absorbing information. Therefore, as a human, we subconsciously get influenced by our surrounding, and sometimes we pick up bad habits without even knowing it. This is especially true when watching Isekai anime. The third thing that must be understood is that people usually watch things that they tend to enjoy or relate. This is obvious at first, and that's exactly the reason why it's more impactful. And lastly, the negative influence can vary according how much time you spend watching this kind of anime. So watching it on rare occasions should not have any noticeable effects. Now that we understand these 4 ideas, we can safely explore the reason that the Isekai genre is problematic for your mental health. The first point I'm gonna talk about is the restart effect. This effect is what makes an Isekai so appealing to many people. As stated before, in an Isekai, the main character is transported into another world. This means that the main character is given the chance to restart his life. This can either be in the form of being reborn and keeping their knowledge, or simply having their entire body transported. This is the main attraction that grabs the viewer's attention at the start of the show. In an Isekai, the main character is usually an outcast of society. He can be a otaku that doesn't leave his room, a person working minimum wage and that is stuck in a dead-end job, a student that is bullied at school, or simply a self-proclaimed person that is bored, while obviously doing nothing. Like, I'm not even kidding. This kind of character just sits around all day long and saying that he's bored while not even doing any activities. They just drink, eat, sleep, and brag about how unmotivated they are. Anyways, whatever the main character is, the point is that they aren't in a position of happiness, and they are stuck living in a life full of misery with no hope. This is made to capture the interest of the targeted audience that are in the same situation mentally and physically. To be more specific, to the people that relate to them. They relate to them on multiple levels. Their external problems, their lack of self-esteem, and their commitment to stay in a terrible position. Even though both the anime character and the viewer feel terrible, both of them want to change. But their lack of capability to break this predicament incite them that an alternative is impossible or too hard. Therefore, they have a mental commitment to stay the same. And since the viewer doesn't have the resources to face their problems, they choose to turn to escapism. And when they see an anime with the premise of escaping reality, they get hooked. Now, they desire an isekai experience. Similarly like the fictional character they relate to, they want a free restart. Since they know that their desire is unattainable, they keep watching this kind of anime. They watch it to stimulate the experience of what could have happened if they also could have the chance to restart. This makes them think that they are only watching it as a coping mechanism to manage their problems, but they are only worsening their situation. While watching an isekai, they are only wasting their time not challenging their difficulties. As a result, their problems get bigger and bigger since they aren't addressing them. And even before getting introduced to the isekai genre, they were already not comfortable with the idea of fixing their problems. This kind of mindset amplifies the desire for a restart. Therefore, they crave more and more isekai anime, in hope of receiving what they think is a blessing like the character they felt so related to, but in reality, they are just mentally trapped in the desire for the solution that isn't possible. Since they aren't taking responsibility for their undesirable situation, they sink deeper and deeper in a hole of darkness. Now the second point is talking about something else, but it still has connections with the first point. Not only are they linked together, the combination of both points enhances the addictive nature of the isekai genre. And my second point is the 12-episode seasonal format. Let me explain. In recent years, more and more anime are only getting 12 episodes per seasonal release. And in those seasonal release, there are also more and more isekai anime. It makes sense, right? People are getting addicted to it and the big studios want to take advantage of that. Nothing wrong there, the studio also wants to make money. But the problem is that it gives more option for the addicted viewers to indulge in. This is the same concept as for drug addicts. You give more drugs to an addict and he wants even more the next time. The same applies here for the isekai fans. Both situations aren't comparable in the degree of damage, but this is the exact reason that an isekai addiction problem goes unnoticed. This is because their problem looks like a solution for their difficulties. For they don't think they have a reason to stop watching isekai anime. Now that there are no motivation to stop this behavior, and there are always new fake solution, it is expected that they want to watch more of it. And the fact that there's multiple isekai anime per season offer the viewers the capability to experience the restart effect multiple times per sitting. This means that their brain are having multiple doses of dopamine from an unhealthy source non-stop. And don't forget that these anime only have 12 episodes. This means that once they absorb the negative influence of the following topic I will discuss extremely fast, since 12 episodes is very short, and once they are done watching, they switch to the next isekai, they re-get the restart feeling, reabsorb toxic behavior, and all of this happens in the span of 12 episodes. And once you get into this kind of cycle, it's really hard to stop. This is because the release format is perfect to make sure that the viewers get absorbed, and it doesn't let them have the chance to leave this behavior without forcefully breaking out of it. And knowing the type of personality that the people that watches isekai have, it is not surprising that they are stuck in this loop. Now, before we continue with the video, there's two things I need you guys to do. The first one, it's to not forget to break that like button, destroy that sub button, and knee the notification button down to the ground while slapping on its face non-stop. It will really help the video out by pushing it into the algorithm so that people will actually be able to see the toxic nature of this type of anime, because we're trying to help everybody. And the second thing is to comment below if you can relate to any of the points I'm going to cover. This is because it's not obvious at first sight that these problems are quite common. And by sharing your story, you're making sure that people won't feel like they're the only one facing this kind of issues. Now, remember when I said we absorb our environment subconsciously? Yeah, well that's the problem. When we take into account that most people that watches isekai are introverted and have anxiety issues, and when we add a main character that typically has no personality traits and that has unnatural communication habits. Yeah, you're starting to understand what I'm trying to say, right? Getting influenced by this doesn't sound very good. Imagine this. If you are a person that can't manage your real life issues and is escaping reality in an incredibly addicting genre of anime, and this type of anime is made in a format that keeps you trapped, And that's not the end of it. Now you're subconsciously absorbing the traits of these fictional characters that can only worsen your real life situations. And look, I know that some of you guys may be doubting me. Who would ever want to be similar to these characters? Well, when you enjoy a show, you tend to look on the positive side of it. Therefore, they will think that those bland personality traits aren't that bad. And since most Isekai watchers don't have social skills, and they just absorb the personality traits subconsciously. But some of you guys may also ask me, whether they watch a character with good or bad personality traits, it shouldn't matter, right? If they don't specifically train their social skills. It can worsen their minimal abilities to interact, since they already don't have any social skills. Well, I half agree with that. You need to practice the thing that you want to be specifically good at. But when you are in such a vulnerable state of mind, the traits that you absorb in this state can stay on you for a very long time. And since they look up to these incomplete characters, they will slowly become similar like them, since they are easy to copy. So when they actually talk to people, it becomes very hard. The mixture of anxiety and awkward interaction is multiplying the difficulty of the challenge. When we see something too often, we start to normalize it. And guess what? You don't want to normalize what you see in the Isekai. The worst part to normalize in the Isekai is the plot. If you ever watch one of those bad Isekai, then you might have realized something weird about the plot. And that is that the main character never takes any action to advance the plot. The only way that the plot moves is from random challenges that comes out of nowhere that the main character have to fix. And well, when you watch too much of this kind of anime, you start feeling like that's the norm. You are conditioning your mind to only enjoy challenges that are easy to overcome. This is because the main character is overpowered. There are two problems with this. For one, it makes you not want to do hard things, but while also wanting to feel strong. So since you're searching the easy way to feel strong, you will watch even more Isekai. And it's already established that watching more will only keep you in the cycle longer. And the second thing is that you normalize waiting for things to happen. And that's exactly the reason you started watching Isekai. You wanted some external force to help you out. But that's unlikely to happen. Therefore, you will just sink deeper and deeper if you're not actively finding solutions. As you guys may have realized, it feels like the whole genre is targeting vulnerable people that don't have the resource to break this addiction. And if you guys notice, I switch a lot between you and they when I talk. This is so I can resonate with both people that are addicted to Isekai and those who are here because they are interested to learn more about this topic. This is to make sure that both parties can benefit from the video. For those who aren't addicted, are now aware that the Isekai genre should be avoided. And for the people who are still watching the Isekai anime that wants to stop, I understand that it's very hard to recover from it, but it's only hard, and that means it's not impossible. So what are the possible options to help you recover? Well, for starters, you can sub to my channel. This won't be a only anime channel, but the content that I produce in the future will definitely help you in the long term. So what can you do in the meantime? To be honest, completely changing your lifestyle in one go is not viable. That's because there's a high chance that you'll relapse and give up. But since you're already watching anime, a good starting point is to change what you watch. You might want to consider watching something that will motivate you to change. If you're looking to watch an anime that you can relate to the main character about struggling to be better and overcoming your difficulties and achieving your dreams in a very emotional level, some anime I can think of is Naruto and My Hero Academia. This is because both main characters are driven to become stronger while also having some realistic internal problems. If you can capture how they feel, it would definitely motivate you. But if you're more of the analytical type, I think that watching One Piece might be a very good option for you. One Piece is by far the best anime regarding learning how to gain confidence in my opinion. It's actually very hard to see it at first, but that's why I will make a video about One Piece very soon. But once you do understand One Piece, I promise you, you will be the baddest motherfucker in the room. So I'll be out getting comfy and eating some noodles, and we'll see each other in the next video.